Hello, this is Formula One Fans of America, Season 2, Episode 17. Uh, we are going to. What's up, Jay? You're gesturing.
It's on live. You know that, right? It says live up in the corner, not recording.
It's still recording, though.
Okay.
Okay.
Just being sure.
All right. You'll test my editing abilities once again. But this is Season 2, Episode 17 of Formula One Fans of America. I've got Fabian and Jay with me. Meg's absent, unfortunately, but we're going to get into our mid-season review episode. Let's start out with the rookies. Like, Duhan, Colapinto, 0 points. Bortoletto, like, Gabby has impressed me far beyond. Like, I started out the season very sketchy and, like, almost got caught in the moment, I think, and not almost, but I actually got caught in the moment where I was like, the only one worth a damn was Antonelli, was like a direct quote that I said. You all corrected me and were like, stop sleeping on Bortoletto. Like, Gabby is the real deal. He has shown his mettle like through and through. And so like I agree with you guys. Like that's an I was wrong. And we were right from the rest of you. Not surprised that Duhan and Colapinto haven't scored points, to be honest. You know, I expected actually like probably 4 out of 6 of the rookies to not be in the points. Honestly thought we'd get a better showing out of Behrman. Yeah, I almost feel like he's proven the weaknesses in the car, and that like when he was in the Ferrari, it was a different story. You know, and I think honestly too, mentally he just rose to the occasion as best he possibly could, and the car was set up absolutely perfect. We'll get into Ferrari and their woes this season. Although they're in second place in the constructors, it's not a happy dance over there. We were right, McLaren. Like we called it. We called Piastri and the rise of Piastri. Meg specifically was big on the rise of Piastri. I saw her some artwork. But we knew he was going to do well, and we also knew because Jay, back to our earliest episodes, called it last year that McLaren was the fastest car on the grid, and that's shined through into this 2025 season. So big, we were right. You know, not so obvious. You know, maybe to a lot of people, like it's sort of easy to call McLaren as the right team, and you know, the constructors and championship winners. However, we were right last year when that was still up in the air with Red Bull in the first half of the season, being very competitive. Checo was still getting podiums. We're going to talk about him now as well. But I think we're. What do you guys think about Ferrari taking second place and the odds and chances of that happening in the second half of the season? Now that we're 14 races down.
Yeah.
Fabian, I'll turn it over to you.
Sure, yeah. I mean, it's very likely. I did some deep diving over the last 2 weeks on what's really going on at Ferrari. And one of the things that stood out as being very interesting was that there are serious reports, not nonsense reports, coming out of Maranello that indicate that even Adami now is tacking in a different direction and starting to really push the Hamilton agenda in terms of feedback about development and what's going on there. He's doing it diplomatically and albeit a little bit quietly, but it's been recognized and acknowledged that the chasm that was obvious between them on race day is not the chasm that exists. There is no chasm that exists post race day. Adami is basically saying, hey, look, this guy is a 7-time world champion, and he kind of does really know what the hell he's talking about. And our culture may not be amenable to this, but we need to start paying attention to what's going on. Hamilton alluded to the fact that the upgrades that have come out have actually improved the car. And, you know, his learning curve on it may be steeper, admittedly, but in terms of just the sheer productivity of the upgrades, they've been good. And he expects that things that they're planning on doing could be good. They're really working on the operational window of the car, getting that ride height issue, maximized. There's this whole issue with, you've got two drivers that drive completely differently. Vasseur understands that angle of it and is trying to help the engineering team figure out how to bring this car into a window that both drivers can really work with, even though they have very unique styles. And so with that being said, that says that if the wall engineers and then the behind the scenes engineers and the team principal all are now saying, yeah, these papers that we're getting from him are correct, and they start developing that way, is a very strong likelihood that what they put out for the second half will be enough to keep them in that spot and secure the second place, in the Constructors' Championship. That's what's emerged over the last 2 or 3 weeks from behind the scenes, that there's this sort of a shift in the direction of, we can't just leave all of our eggs in the Leclerc basket. We need to start leveraging this knowledge that this guy has. So it's fascinating. I can't wait to see how it plays out. No matter what, I mean, we're going into a new cycle next year, but they've got a good, strong shot at it if they keep being frugal and about their implementation of these updates. They might have a real shot at this. And it's going to be a points disaster in terms of first and second place. I mean, it's not going to look pretty on paper. I mean, because McLaren's just, they're 1-2ing it to death. So, it's going to be huge. But
I think that's the hardest thing for Ferrari and their fans is, the expectations are so high because all of the right ingredients are seemingly there. However, the end result, but it's hard. It feels like perennial second place for them, because they were behind Red Bull and what they were doing, and now they're behind McLaren and what they're doing.
right.
And so it's a tough second place. We watched them fire team principals over taking second place in the constructors.
Yeah.
And
didn't serve them well,
Yeah. And so it's just it's just hard over there, in Italy. And I think that they're going to get it right. That
Yep.
it is going to, translate into more podiums for them. Somehow they've been consistently scoring points, not podiums. I think there was one or two for Leclerc. Yeah, like a bunch of fourth place finishes. Like Hamilton's best is fourth place this year.
Right.
Twice, not counting sprint racing, but like his actual GP performance has been fourth place has been the best. Leclerc took pole and then dropped down to fourth and missed a podium. And so it's just man, it's one of these things where it tests your mettle, as a driver, as a teammate, as anybody that's involved in the team. It's got to be very, very frustrating. So your mental fortitude has to come into play here. And I think they have all the right ingredients again, and that's what's so frustrating for fans of Ferrari.
This is the one thing that I like about
to watch them not win when they have everything put in place. But go ahead.
No, it's what I like about the way Formula One does this with the constructors and the drivers. You got a drivers' championship that's within a fraction of points difference, and then you've got a 300-point swing in the constructors. I mean, it's literally 300 points apart. That's phenomenal to consider that, when last year Ferrari was within 14 points and one race win away from taking the constructors away from McLaren. They were the underdog, in that last race of the year, and they could have done it, and they were close to doing it, And here it's a 300-point gap. 300 points.
I was going to say, wasn't it less than a race win?
It was a race win.
I want to say Carlos Sainz only had to get 2 more places up from where he was to take it.
Yeah, but wasn't it when they went into
it was either Leclerc or Sainz that had to move up 2 places or something. I can't remember what it was.
Something to that effect, based upon the way the finish was.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. And it was right down to the wire was all that mattered, right? It was a dramatic, almost scripted. Right. And I think there's a legit argument that this was almost scripted, in certain ways. Yeah. We look at the FIA chicanery. We've talked about it several times. Let's go ahead and delve into these Cadillac signings. What are you guys' thoughts on that? Like, Fabian, I'll let you go first, and then I'll kick it over to Jay.
What do I think about the signings? Yeah. I mean, so Botas just seems like an absolute natural fit for sure. I like the Perez signing. We think a little bit into the future with this stuff, and I think Cadillac is really focused on what's their immediate need and who can meet the immediate need. And so there's something to be said for the idea that they're opting for a very experienced team. But the Perez piece just makes a lot of sense too because of the sponsorships that he brings, the fan base that he retains. Okay. And it is South America. It's America, right? So it's South America. You got North America, but it's America. And the institutional knowledge that that guy has from Red Bull under the tutelage of Christian Horner, Helmut Marko, the entire Red Bull organization, when they were not winning to when they were winning consistently and so forth. The institutional knowledge he may have about things like the asymmetric braking, which broke in July of 24, and then Red Bull seriously declined after that and has continued to decline after that, right? There's just a lot of intel that a Perez has that a big contract will open his mouth for them. And, you know, those meeting rooms will be chock full of very valuable information. So it just makes kind of sense to me. I see a lot of people ragging on Checo on our page and on other pages, you know, because we follow the race, we follow Autosport, we follow Motorsport, you know, we follow Sky, we follow everybody. And I see a lot of people ragging Checo out. And I don't know that it's really justified. I mean, Checo's probably got close to as many wins as Leclerc has. Bottas has more. You know, I see people ragging on Bottas too. But Bottas has more Formula One wins than Leclerc has. And Checo's nipping at his heels. So you combine those two guys, the institutional knowledge, the fact that now you've got people who have served Mercedes, Red Bull. Of course, Checo came from a lower team prior to that. I think he was with Force India or something at one point, if I remember correctly. And I forgot where Bottas, you know, what his entire tree is. But Bottas spent considerable time with Mercedes at a very valuable point in their tenure. And I think it just makes a hell of a lot of sense to me.
I see it from the stance of marketability and built-in fan base, like with both of these drivers. Each one of them, even though like I'm not a fan of Checo whatsoever, I'm honestly a little bit surprised that he has the fan base that he does. But on every post about him, like coming in, and unless this is like bot posting, like he's got tons of support, just huge amounts of support, almost like Danny Rick in the US, in Australia. Like he rivals the level of support that he gets. And that's not to be ignored. You know, like at the end of the day, Formula One is a business, right? And it's a business of making money. And so you want this built-in fan base. You want also experienced drivers that can provide feedback to a new car and a team on the grid. And I don't necessarily know if they got it right. Like I was talking with Greg offline about it actually on a work call before we got started earlier today. And we were talking about the signings for Cadillac. And you know, that was my justification for both of these guys is that they have built-in fan bases, they have sponsorship money and dollars behind them. They're both very likable guys when it comes in terms of the sport. And it just sort of makes sense that you want some proven talent like on your roster. I am like very concerned with who's going to be the reserve drivers. We'll delve into that in a little bit because you know there's some F2 guys that are talking a lot of trash, and then there's you're going to have a quality reserve driver. I think coming up from F2, and like that's standard for every single team going forward. So I am concerned and like interested with who's going to be the reserve drivers for Cadillac, almost more than I am concerned with the given options for their 1 and 2. So yeah. Fabian, you had a topic with will Horner's availability be the end of Flavio Vittoria's dubious and failed return to F1? Do you think that Horner is going to cancel Fabio out or Flavio out? I don't even give a fuck about saying his worthless name right.
Flavio. So
hey,
I mean,
also
look,
sorry, like what push pause real quick. I did not give Jay a chance to respond to what we're talking about.
yeah, let him get in there.
Jay, weigh in on this, please.
Okay, so y'all want to compare Chucky Boy with Checo? Not even close at all. Yes, Charles has 8 wins and 48 podiums. Checo 6 wins, 39 podiums. Okay, but let's go into polls. 3 polls for Checo, 27 for Charles, and that is in the Ferrari.
What is the poll? Who gives a fuck about pole position if you don't score the points?
Watch your language, sir.
Yeah, really. Podiums 48 to 39. Like I said, there's your points right there. Now, here's the real kicker: Checo with 281 starts. Charles 161 or 163. Sorry. And I think 3 of those don't count because he didn't actually start the race because the Ferrari blew up. Like, realistically, putting Checo in any conversation with a competent driver, and no, we're not talking about your bestie here, is amusing at best. The guy lost his edge whenever Max said, enough is enough. He's not passing me again. After that, game over. I'm sorry. Like, the guy is not the same. Bottas, I love the signing because Bottas got stuck in a shit box salvo. Checo got put into a Red Bull that was a fucking rocket ship. So realistically here, this is why I'm saying you can't compare Checo to Charles at all. Because how many starts do you have for Red Bull? 4 years worth. So 80 some starts, give or take. Yeah, no comparison. But Bottas has shown what he can do in a true car. So I don't mind that signing at all. To your point about reserve drivers, though, bring back Italian Jesus, please. I really want to see him get some racing.
I honestly don't disagree with you at all, actually, in your rebuttal. I think you're sincerely right here. Like, he doesn't compare to Charles at all. When it comes like brass tacks and like when it comes to scoring points, and like that's where my interjection was like, well, who scores points? But his mentality, and like we've covered it several times, like it got wrecked with that Monaco crash. And the car came undone. His dad damn near had a heart attack or had a heart attack and had to go to the hospital. Like, things unraveled from there. And we made the point last year where he was one of 3 fathers on the grid. Now Max has a baby. So, he's one of a few fathers on the grid. I think that definitely changes your mentality. I think it just, there's the famous quote and whatever, but like, it's hard to argue even as a father. And I think, as all of us that are fathers, like, it changed my life in my mentality and changed my brain in a dramatic way. And I don't think that we're going to see the same outcome of Max. Like, I don't think Max is going to lose any competitivity over having a child. I think he's just too linear minded, and maybe he won't be as dangerous as he was in his youth, but I do think that he will be as cautious as any other driver. Now, I don't bet on it, and I won't bet on it. You're shaking your head, and I agree with you. Like, I won't bet on that. Like, I won't put money on that. I'm just speaking from my own individual experience. Like, it will, like, having a child changes you.
So, when did he hit George Russell versus when his daughter was born?
I think it was like 2 weeks after.
I don't even think it was 2 days after, man. Like, seriously, he's like, nope.
I think it was like that weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was actually. But like,
so fair point. Like, but Max is fully 1000% about racing.
mhm.
One thing, so like, I hate shifting back on topics because it makes us look sloppy, but we were wrong was you talking to me about Max's like involvement in lower racing classes. And like one of the reasons why I always praise Lewis is his reaching down and sending the elevator back down to the ground floor to bring people up. I was like woefully unaware of how much effort Max was doing in the same vein. And so it actually matters a lot to me. Um so yeah, I'll take off my Aston Martin hat for my bestie Lance Stroll, but I'll put on my Rebel hat for Max. For real, like it's huge what he's doing with the sim racing community, and like I did not know that that was his objective and goal was to bring racers that didn't have the means and the money to get into an actual race car onto a racing circuit and compete. He's doing his own Gran Turismo movie over there. And so nothing but respect for Max Verstappen for what he's doing with that. It's the exact reason why I like Lewis Hamilton so much. So like I will support Max Verstappen like day in, day out from now on. I think it's hugely and insanely important to the sport and will impact the sport positively that we have, you know, more than the children of millionaires and billionaires involved in it. And so like that's something that's foundational. Like I think Fabian agrees with me. I think we're in a universal agreement on this show that like that matters. Like what you do outside of the sport of racing to help like promote the sport of racing and keep the talent where it needs to be. And so it's not you're buying your way in. And yes, I am Lance Stroll's best friend, but I I don't want the children of billionaires dictating the direction of our sport. You know,
Right.
I think it matters a lot more than that. So huge props and shout out to Max. And thank you, Jay, for bringing that to light and bringing it to me. So uh, let's talk about some F2 drama because Sebastian Montoya is talking cash money trash about who he's raced and who he's beaten and his deserving like element in the sport. And he thinks he should be an F1 driver and he would be the best rookie this year, probably based off the things that he said. Fabian, I'm going to kick it over to you.
So tactically, brilliant. Okay, let's look at it from that perspective. Tactically is brilliant. He's harvesting energy off of the fact that his father has been engaged in a lot of recent commentary about the current grid and the future of 2026. I mean, Juan Pablo has been out there, especially over the last 3-4 months. He's been very vocal. It would be logical, whether it's his own idea, the dad's idea, their idea, or the handlers involved idea, that if he was going to try to get some attention, because he's not getting the attention that he wants, that even bad attention is good attention, right? And so to do what he did tactically just makes a hell of a lot of sense. We know one thing about F1 fandom, especially the newer version of F1 fandom, right? Which is an amalgamation of the old and the new. F1 drivers are, a lot of them they're good-looking guys, younger good-looking guys. Some have history, some don't. Some are, the ones that come out of the crevices and the shadows and they just make a big splash. Some of them are, lineage, family, that kind of thing. This kid's taking a shot. So from that perspective, pretty smart. Now, looking at just what he's had to say and whether or not it is real or true, it's debatable. If he was all that in a bag of chips, I think he wouldn't have to be using this kind of tactic to get attention right now. But
so isn't it, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you win F2, you have to retire from F2 and try and seek a seat in F1. Mm-hmm. So your results actions speak louder than words, homie. So
Correct.
maybe sit the fuck back a little bit. I get why he's creating the stir, and I agree with your opinion.
Look.
Like,
I mean,
you gotta do this and rely on your pedigree and your clout. But he's clout chasing right now. Like this is it. If you were that good, if you were better than these other rookies, then you would have been the F2 champion and you would have retired from F2.
Here's the problem.
A seat in F1.
But here's the problem, Jay. You can't be the F2 champion with no wins.
My name's Rich.
I mean,
that's Rich, dude. I'm
sorry.
I know the beard confuses you, but
it's a white boy thing. Don't worry about it. So you can't. It's
we all 25, 40
looking like.
So you can't be the F2 champion with 0 wins, right? There's a problem there.
Actually, I think you can.
Come on.
Oh, yes, you can. You could actually. You could come in second, third, fourth in podium, and you could be the champion with no wins.
Has it ever happened?
Yes, I want. Hold on.
We need to know this because
I don't believe. I'll let Jay research in the background
because I don't believe that there's been an F2 champion that had no wins.
So it seems like an oddity, to say the least. I'll let Jay chime in and do the research. But
let him do it. So you got a guy that. So let me keep talking while he does that. You got a guy that's got 11 starts, no wins, 3 podiums, 0 poles, and only 2 fastest laps. And yet he's talking about how quick he is and faster he is than all these other guys that he's named, like to the trash talking level. Like it's not. Well, I was as good as those guys. I could do this. No, I'm better than him and faster than him and quicker than him. And like, oh, okay, dude. All right, but you got no wins.
And so that's what it is. Like, it's the trash and trash talk, right? Like, yeah, I beat these guys on any given day, but not consistently. Not consistently enough to stack up points to a championship. So you're just talking ahead. Like you're fucking full of shit, dude. Like, man, we were not supposed to swear on this show. Anyways, like he's just talking shit. Like that is what it is. And like, unless you have the actions to back it up, which he does not in any like racing fan statistical realm. Like, no, you're not. You're not better than Behrman. You're certainly not better than Bortoleto. You're definitely not better than Antonelli.
I mean, and speaking, while we're talking,
these are the dudes he's calling out by name. Like,
no, and this brings us, and this is not us being sloppy. This brings us back into the conversation about the rookie review, right? So, talking about Montoya, and if you look at, for example, the race. They did a rookie review, and their ranking was really interesting. They actually have Isaac Hadjar as number 1, okay? Bortoleto is number 2, Bierman 3, Kimi Antonelli 4, and then, of course, Duhan and Colapinto. I disagree with this ranking. I think Kimi Antonelli is clearly the number 1. He's scored the most points, for one. That in and of itself says a lot. And I have other reasons. I'm not, not trying to make a segment on my issues with the race's ranking, right? But my point is, they rank these guys, and you've got Hadjar, Bortoleto, Bierman, and Antonelli out of 6 as the top 4, and we're watching these guys in F1 right now in the big beasts. They're in the chariots of fire, okay? And he's claiming he's better than these guys. Get the hell out of here.
Okay.
Jay.
So I'm actually going to agree mostly with the race. I have said this since the beginning. 3 races in, maybe, that Hadjar is the best out of this rookie class. Hands down, no questions asked. Now, where it gets a little sketch is Bortoleto versus Antonelli. I'm like, But then again, that Mercedes, there's big gaps between him and George. So we did this analysis, 3 episodes ago, I think it was, Rich? Where we went back and forth between...
It was the crash. It was the early crash that he had too. That I think almost sort of derailed his mentals. But carry on, please.
So I definitely think like Antonelli has immense talent. Like I'm not going to take it away from him or anything like that. But I'm also seeing what Bortoleto is doing in a absolute shit box. Like there is no other way to describe that car, and he is dragging it around the track. And this is coming from
him and Hulk like are both driving the wheels off that thing, and it's wild to see what he can do. And I agree with you, like in the sense that like he's the best rookie in my eyes because he is driving a shitbox and putting points up on it and putting points up for a team that they were perennially last,
right.
and never expected to score anything. Like everybody writes them off, but all of a sudden they're in the mid pack field and pushing for money. Yeah, carry on, please.
The reason why I'm saying the difference between Hadjar and Bortoleto, where it's a clear distinction, Hadjar's been doing this since he got here. Like he has had track record of actually doing shit, scoring points, getting there, beating the shit out of his teammates. Like obviously, Bortoleto has only really come on in the past 2 races, which is why I'm a little more, I'm holding judgment on that versus Antonelli right now. By the end of the year, I could be completely wrong, and I fully accept that. But Hadjar right now, as it stands, is best. Out of recent performances, you've got Bortoleto in second, absolutely. Third, Antonelli. Fourth, Behrman. And then the rest of the chuckle nuts can go somewhere. Realistically, because Duhan, I called it at the beginning of the year, and you all looked at me like I was stupid. I said at least 2 of them are going to be gone from a seat before mid-season. And Lawson and Duhan were both gone. Colapinto's probably not far behind. The only reason he's even gotten a shot this long is because of money, realistically. But yeah, no. And even if the guy has not won a thing inside of F2, I think he could probably still do a better job than, oh my God, Duhan, Lawson, Colapinto. Like, realistically, I see no problems there. I think give him a shot, see what he does. If he fucks it up, then so be it. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. So,
yeah, Colapinto hasn't scored a point this year. So, like, pretty low benchmark.
He's what, 7 points in? Can we talk about that dude crashing in Hungary? Please, for the love of God, I forgot to put that in the topics.
Speak on it. Go for it.
How the hell do you crash at a tire test? Like, what?
I mean,
you're muted, bro.
To try to be fair, like,
I said because they're tires that are untested.
So, and to be fair, well, he was the only one that crashed under the tire test. So, I don't know. Like, I think that the F1 cars are so dynamic and so complex. I think if you're testing tires, I don't know. All right, I fucking can't, dude. Like, well, here we go with the swearing again. I can't make excuses for this. I'm sorry. I was trying to come up with an excuse for him, and I can't. No, I don't know how you crash the car in a test like the way.
Thank you.
Sorry. Yeah.
Not just crash. Catastrophic fucking damage. Like, that car is destroyed. It's gone. The only thing you're going to be able to salvage is like the tub and possibly, I think they said maybe the ICE.
Yeah.
Like,
how many millions of dollars worth of damage?
That's like $8 million worth of damage right there alone. Like, Checo would be jealous.
In a tire test. Yeah, exactly. If he was doing it on purpose.
So, like, realistically here, I mean, why do you have a seat at this point? Like, other than the fact that you're bringing money. But you have to look at it like, are you costing us more money than what you are bringing us now? And I got to see if that actually hit the Deconstructors Championship, because it should. It really should. All right.
While you do that, let's go ahead and shift gears real quick, and we'll talk about the McLaren duel, Piastri versus Norris. Um, I mean, it's obviously quite tight. Like Lando's won 3 out of the last 4 races. He seems to be shaking the mental monkey off his back. He seems to actually be growing into the position. We talked a lot about his mental state and where he was because of his perennial pole position loss and the way that he just wrecks it, after qualifying first and can't seem to hold the lead. So, like, what are you guys' thoughts? I think Piastri, just the stoic, smart, intelligent racer that he is going to that's what's going to lead him towards the drivers championship. Although the strategy from McLaren favors Norris, and we just saw that play out. So, like, I wonder if that's going to play into things in the second half of the season. Although I believe that Oscar has all the talent and all the ability to claim the number 1 driver slot.
So I said this last episode, I believe. Lando has more talent than Oscar. Oscar is just better at using it, is the biggest thing. Lando has always had his issues with his head and mental state, whatnot, not taking anything away. I couldn't do what he does. There's no way in hell. But I think that he's going to win it. Like, I really do. It's not like McLaren's giving him the better strategy. They're giving him the option of taking a better strategy, which they're also doing for Oscar as well. Oscar just goes with the safe one, whereas Oscar goes with the safe one, whereas Lando's like, fuck it, let's go. What do I got to lose?
It's a very fair point with what you're saying, and correction on my comment about the strategy. I like that. Keep going.
Because, I mean, like, look at Spa. Spa's a perfect example where Lando technically made the absolute right call on those tires. However, he didn't take into account how much that weather was going to change. And I mean, us standing right there, I can tell you it dropped at least 15 degrees at minimum.
Celsius.
At like 3 or 4 different points in that race. Lando made all the right calls. It's just not for the weather predictions that were coming through. So realistically, if he would have went to the same strategy that Oscar had, and as much as he caught back up to Oscar despite mistakes during that race, he would have been 4 for 4. Because, I mean, realistically, we talked about that as well. Lando of old, the first mistake that he would have made, he would not have climbed back up 5 seconds, 6 seconds, and then trying to push it to the edge to get the extra seconds, and he loses it again and loses time. So, yeah. I mean, I really think, like, unless if something happens with Lando in the next 3 weeks, he's going to end up taking this. And I think you're going to see a whole different side of Piastri after Lando passes him, where that stoic nature is gone.
I still think it's going to be calm, cool, collected from him in his response. I just think that it's just who and how he is as a person. I wouldn't be surprised if he made some mental errors. We saw him lock it up on the last race, down to the last turn, and he was pushing to his limit. One of the things that, like, I have so much hope and faith in this young man is that the way that he is willing to absolutely push to the limit, and he knows what his limits are. The lockup on that last turn, but, like, what else was he gonna do? I think anybody racing behind him was gonna be pushing, and it was that's just the way that it turned out. He just didn't have it, in the tire depth and length to get it going. But we will highlight his mental errors if we are able to find them. I just think that he's doing what every single F1 racer would do.
So I'm going to say, whenever other F1 drivers, not mentioning any names, have done the exact move at the exact track on that exact corner. Both y'all were like, that's some reckless shit. No other F1 driver would ever do this. Oscar comes bowling through. Oh, I like it. It's aggressive. Anyone would have done that move. Get fucked. I'm sorry. Like, no. Y'all don't get to play that moral high ground right now.
Hold on a second.
He didn't wreck anybody.
He hit somebody?
He didn't crash
Yeah.
into anybody.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. He came as close as you possibly could. And in the offline group chat, I said that was reckless. It was out of character for Oscar. It was.
Because he came reckless. Like a millimeter from hitting. If Lando would not have avoided.
Sincerely. Yeah.
Like, Lewis was just like, screw it. I've been hit by Max before. Let's go. It'll be fine. Bring back old memories. Maybe it'll land on top of my head and put me out of my misery since I'm a Ferrari driver now. Like, seriously, though. Like,
I see your point in the point that you're making. I mean, but he didn't crash, did he? They both finished the race. They went 1-2. They were on the podium, and there's kind of the start.
What happened in Canada? Oh yeah, Lando crashed into Oscar, almost ending both of their races.
I wish they would have, but anyways, it's like, dude, I mean, come on, pop a tire, please. Just make sure. That's all I'm asking for. I'm not asking for like a blow up like Monaco.
Yeah,
I'm just asking for a pop tire. But realistically, both racers did finish in Hungary as well. Lewis and Max both finished. Granted, not
fair enough.
But
you make a compelling argument here. And
plus, Max goes.
I'm so sorry.
There's a difference in the way that people view this, and one of these is like borderline brilliant because he was able to avoid it by a millimeter.
Only because his teammate avoided
against his teammate. Yes, and because he was pushing against his teammate, and it was avoided. Like I'm agreeing with you here. Don't argue with me. Like. I see, and you have tons of merit behind your point that you're making. I do want to segue now. Let's talk about Red Bull. Let's talk about let's talk about the turmoil with Horner being gone.
Okay.
Although he's still apparently technically a Red Bull employee, he's still paid. No, that's changed.
They removed him completely.
So now he's on the open market then.
Not quite. I think gardening leave still takes effect.
There's he doesn't have gardening. He does not have gardening leave.
Okay.
But what he does have allegedly is some sort of a clause in his contract that prevents him from possibly going. So this is not proven, but this is mentioned recently by one of the major networks that there may be a clause in his contract that prevents him from going anywhere right now. Which is why this conversation about him trying to muscle up investors and possibly do a hostile takeover, basically, of some team like an Alpine became a conversation in the first place. An ownership role, like a major ownership role type of approach to things. Let's be fair. You know how I feel about Christian. You know how I feel about that dude. But I'm going to strip away Christian, the persona, and deal strictly with Christian, the talent. Okay, Christian is a tried and proven Formula One behemoth of talent.
Mm-hmm.
No question. I had to literally sit down and ask myself after sim racing one night, all night long, if Christian Horner was available and I had a team that was marginally profitable, had potential, and I wanted to improve that team, would I write a check to Christian Horner? And the answer was no. But then I asked the question, would I sell the team at a profit to Christian Horner? And my answer was maybe so. Like maybe I would, if there was some way for me to not reward him as an employee, but put my team in his hands in some way that it could flourish without me in direct control, I might consider doing that because he's that kind of talent. I mean, the guy's he's got a gift. He's a rare dude. And he's a conundrum for me just because I don't like him. But ultimately, I mean, like, for example, That's why my byline says stay away from Caddy Christian. Like I want to enjoy rooting for Cadillac, and I couldn't do it if he was their team principal.
So the second they signed Checo,
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't root for Caddy. Like, I'm sorry. No.
No, there's nothing about Checo that polarizes me against any team he would drive for.
There are so many better drivers that deserve a shot. Giovinazzi, Joe Granu, Kevin Magnussen. Like, there are infinitely better.
Joe Granu is not a better driver than Checo.
You only saw him in a Sauber. Literally, Bottas couldn't even pull around that track.
I just don't.
Ferrari obviously sees enough in him to keep him as a reserve driver. Just throwing it out there. And I mean, with the way that their program runs, I'd be more worried about. But I mean, realistically here, like it's only a matter of time before Charles pulls a Kimi and just gets out of the car and walks off. Like realistically here at this point. So I don't know. Like I feel there's so many better drivers that deserve more of a chance than Checo does. And I think Checo's way past his prime. So realistically, it's not a good signing. It really is not a good signing.
Well,
I don't disagree with you. Do you think, do you think that it's a purely financial decision with the Belton fan base, the sponsorship money? No? Like, where do you disagree and like intend upon that point?
So let's be real here. Caddy is an American company. Bottas is personable. He is very much a proven race winner. He has a cult following, which will bring all the following that they need into Caddy to start getting it going off. You could have picked up a young driver. I forget who the one they were throwing around, Fabian. Do you remember? You're muted.
Draganovic, I think is his name.
Was it Draganovic?
Was it him? And then there was another guy named he was mentioned, but there was this one.
I know.
Yeah.
Draganovic is what comes to my mind.
Yeah, but there were two young drivers they were talking about. I'm trying to remember. One was a kind of a flash in the pan conversation, and the other one was beginning to become more of a. Who's the McLaren kid? I can't think of his name.
He's not an option. It's Weber or something like that, isn't it?
No, I'm thinking of this other kid. And
I know who you're talking about. He just raced for him, or not raced for him, but did a practice for him not too recently.
Right.
I just can't remember his name. He's doing really good in F2, if I remember correctly, though.
Yeah.
But McLaren won't give him up. That's the biggest thing. They've already said they won't give him up. They're expecting Oscar Orlando to leave within the next 2 years.
Gotcha.
But no, like Caddy had so many good options. I really thought they were going to go with the young driver and a veteran. I was so hopeful they were going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But Checo, come on. And that also eliminates Horner completely, like guaranteed.
You don't think that toxically they would not put that together?
But then again, he did support the ever-living shit out of Checo.
Yeah.
A lot. So, I don't know.
It's a tricky one.
You know,
man.
like I don't think anybody's heard an honest response about this or like the potential of any of this from Checo. You know what I mean? Like I haven't seen his words or like how he would handle working with Christian again or the potential of this. So like nobody really knows. And even then we're only getting a media catered response, right? Alex Dunn is the driver that you guys were referencing. Thank you, Fabian. So and I don't think we're ever gonna see that come out, right? Like because there's too much media decorum that's supposed to take place, especially between a driver and a team principal. And like you're certainly not supposed to bash your team principal and you're never really in the place to it. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a clause in the contracts of F1, and I've never actually read one, but I would be surprised if there wasn't like a clause in the contracts of like, hey, you will not just like publicly disparage the team or your management. Um, so you're never really going to truly get an honest opinion from Checo about his thoughts towards Horner. Um, I think it would be a mistake to think that like pairing them together would lead to positive results, just because personally, like I've worked with idiots and assholes and have been managed by them.
I
And
do same teas.
Jay, you were not an idiot or an asshole that I worked with. I meant more so for the ones that I worked for. I Yeah, you
That
were
I
an
can
idiot.
agree with you.
You
on
were an
that.
idiot that I worked with, and yeah, you've made your own share of poor decisions.
Oh, absolutely. But they were fun.
Yes, you enjoyed life fully. But like I don't know what his honest perspective would be, and I don't think anybody will unless you're inside like deeply in his inner circle,
Yeah.
like to hear what it's actually like his honest, genuine opinion would be. Um, the media narrative that we're gonna get and the PR narrative that we're gonna hear is like, oh, he's grateful to be working with a familiar face. We're gonna see that shit play out. Like if this comes to fruition. So like, but I do think that we can cut through the nonsense and the BS and be like, no, you're not happy to be there with him. I think anybody who's in any way knowledgeable about the sport and has worked for someone toxic, they would not be excited about this. Um, Good personality, good race producing results. He's not a good personality. Like, so like producer of results, sure. I I don't think that here's the thing with Horner is like I genuinely don't believe that he will be able to ever replicate these results outside of that team and in this era. I don't think this will translate to anything else. I think he will struggle. I think that like he's a toxic leader.
So he's Pat Riley at the Knicks, is what you're saying. Like from LA,
Yeah,
bam, and then goes to the Knicks and
yeah, and I think that's fair. I just, yeah, it's hard for me to imagine that he's going to be able to carry this like leadership and like I'm the big swinging thing into another team. And I think he's just going to ruffle too many feathers, and it's going to turn people off, and you, it's just not going to translate at all. There's no transposition here for him to go to another team and to achieve the same level of success. I also felt like that Red Bull like era for him was the dream team era where he had literally everything at his disposal. And like he enjoyed the wave and that ride the same way that, and no offense to Lewis, but the same way that Lewis enjoyed having everything at his disposal. And call it what it is. Like he had the best team, he had the best factory, he had the best car. He was able to do this. It's very, very easy to like rest and provide your laurels on these wins in Formula One when you have everything possible afforded to you and almost a disadvantage towards the other teams. And so like we can't get blinded and confused by that. And I don't think that like leadership style is going to translate well to other teams. And I think people honestly like knowing the character in the background, it may lead to like disrespect and resent towards him. Because I can tell you, I don't want to work for that piece of shit. Yeah.
So I'll counter that with controversy creates cash.
And that's good, but like I don't want to work for this
I'm
idiot.
not debating that fact, but the fact of the matter is that Horner is going to get another job. And realistically, looking at what he took the Jaguar team from where they were at to what they became in 4 years with the same shit facilities, with everything else. Like, yes, he had Newey. Yes, he had Vettel. But a lot of that is him bringing in Newey and Vettel and Max and Marco and all of these people. So you've got to think, like, there's something there. He can get it going. He can get it done. And if he comes back into the sport as a team principal, I could see him at least pulling 1, maybe 2 more championships out easily. But moving on to more interesting topics, since we just mentioned both teams, Max and Wolf vacationing on a boat. Ooh. Yeah. I don't know how Max is going to look in that silver, though. It might go back to the black. God, I hope so.
Isn't it ironic that previously there was this, the fake picture going around that was unverified about them being together in wherever the hell they were in Italy, supposedly, and it turned out not to be true, only for them to actually legitimately get together. The husband and the wife of the Wolf family and the boyfriend and the girlfriend of the Verstappen clan. What other reason in the world would there be for those 4 people to be together during the summer break? Is there any plausible thing other than negotiations of the biggest driver move since Lewis to Ferrari, right? Could there be any other logical explanation for that?
I would say Lewis to Mercedes, but that's just me. I think that was more controversial at that point. But regardless, no, I know there is a history between Wolf and Jos, like as far as they've been friends for a very long time, even before Max was in F1, if I'm not mistaken. So there is a little bit of history. We don't know previously if they'd vacationed together or whatever. But yeah, the timing, like, come on, guys. And Max basically saying, yeah, I'll stick with Red Bull for 2026, but after that, I'm pretty much guaranteed to get out of here. And yeah.
I mean, I think that's it. Like, why other reason are you guys spending this much time together? Unless you have intent on doing business together.
When do you think this is, like, if there is something, a plan hatched, which there must be, which is why George doesn't have a contract yet, because that's about saving money for the buyout, possibly. When do you think this is it for? Do you think are they going to spring it as a 26 move? And it's going to be get in the new car now and help us develop this car right now? Or is it going to be a 27 move?
27 move. 27
Mercedes,
move.
Mercedes wants to run with Kimi and George to see who they're going to pair with Max. That is the only reason I think Max has come out and straight up said, I'm staying for 2026, is because Toto said, hey, Max, do us a favor so we can give you the best teammate possible and make this at least interesting. Because, like, let's be real here. And this is something interesting that came out recently. I think it was out of the Alex Albon interview where they said, where he was like, oh yeah, that car is completely set up for Max, this, that, and the other. And Max is like, no, it's not. I can just drive better than you. And realistically, he's done nothing but say this car is ass for the past year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if that car was designed for him, he would not be screaming that. So you have to look at who's going to have the more similar driving style to Max, so that way you can tailor it one way instead of having this unwieldy beast that they currently have in Red Bull and Mercedes. So more than likely, they're trying to get Kimi a little more experience under his belt and then push George off the side of a cliff. Thank God. I don't like George Russell, and we all know this. But
You said it from season 1, episode 1. Yes, we know your disdain for George Russell, Latte Boy, as you call him.
hey, I stole that one. I can't say what I really think about him, or we'd be canceled quick, fast, and in a hurry. But no, realistically, they're going to use George to sound out that car to see if there's any big problems with it. Keep Kimmy, and then they're going to do a 1+1 with George, guaranteed. If they don't, I will be shocked on that not getting a 1+1.
Yeah, I think George's comments of it's not a matter of like if it's when. Yeah, they're going to give you a contract, dude, because Max isn't going to leave Red Bull this year.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't know what's going to happen in 2027. We know Max has said that he's going to stay at Red Bull, but when he talks BS walks, like
I don't think it has anything to do with money. I really don't.
Well, not necessarily the money. I think it's going to have to deal with the results and his ability to win, which is the clause in his contract. If you don't give me a winning car, I have the ability to leave this team and go to another that can give me a car that will win. I do think it's going to be a 2027 move. I know that's like the popular speculation, but like it's hard to argue. I think he's going to sit in the car for 2026, see how it's set up and built for the new regs. And if it's not right for him, then he's going to go where it is right for him. And I think as a 4-time world champion, he's smart and intellectual enough to do so. Like, go where you can win, dude.
Not just that. I think a lot is going to play into how much control they give him over like strategy, over how the car's set, how everything like that. Like, I mean, what was it? I forget which race it was, but he basically told Red Bull, piss off, I'm bringing in one of my guys. The guy sat in a sim all night and gave them information on the car and said, set it up.
That was Barcelona, wasn't it?
No, that was not Barcelona. That was this year.
I thought.
No, it was this year.
That was Barcelona.
Oh, I don't believe so. Hold on.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt your flow of thought. My bad. It was Japan, Suzuka.
I told you.
Yep. Rudy Van Buren.
Yep.
That was a wet race too, wasn't it?
He also did it. He also did it for the U.S. Grand Prix with Barrichello.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually really cool.
Suzuka was wet this year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's why I was thinking.
That's probably why you're thinking it.
Yeah.
But regardless, like he's going to ask for these stipulations. And realistically, I don't think Aston Martin is off the table for it. I really don't. And I think that's what he's really waiting for. So let's see which engine performs better, whether it be the Honda or the Mercedes.
That's fair enough. And I do think like I mean, we've speculated on this before. Like Aston Martin might be like the reunion of the dream team for him. I think that's solid speculation.
Especially with whatever their team.
We'll call it conspiracy corner because nobody's really covering that or talking about Max to Aston. But like, I think we might break this one. All right, gents, let's go ahead and wrap it up. We're at like an hour and 10. But any closing comments, Fabian?
No, I'm just so grateful that we're back.
Hell yeah.
I've gotten
Meg's busy, unfortunately, but we'll have her back on soon.
I'm one of the, just as a side note, I'm an all session watcher. So I wake up no matter what the time zone is and watch everything. Y'all know this because I blog on it. I catch FP1 through everything. So I've actually gotten some sleep, which is a good thing, but I've missed it. So I'm looking forward to not getting sleep and getting back into the rhythm of trying to keep up with these races.
Yeah, I'm doing a watch party with some friends for this weekend. Saturday and Sunday, getting food and hanging out and just having some camaraderie. So looking forward to the weekend, looking forward to racing being back, looking forward for new things to talk about. But yeah, this has been our mid-season review. Thanks, y'all. This has been season 2, episode 17 of Formula One Fans of America.
Awesome. Good job, guys. Thank you. Appreciate you. Jay, you are boring. Thank you.
Get fucked.